There is no collusion between certainly myself and my campaign, but I can always speak for myself and the Russians, zero.
Well, with that line, Donald Trump revealed exactly how much support staffers can expect to receive from their boss as the Russia scandal engulfs his administration. That scandal has been delivering daily headlines describing utter chaos and backbiting inside the White House. These three are just from the past 10 days alone. One of my next guests has just one piece of advice for staffers toiling in the circus tent that is the Trump administration. Quit while you can. And joining me now is Michelle Goldberg, columnist at Slate and of that aforementioned New York Times op-ed, Republican strategist Evan Siegfried, and the Washington Post's Jonathan Capehart. So I got to go to you first, Michelle, because you wrote it. Run, exactly, is your advice.
Right, and my advice is not, I think other people have said that it's the moral thing to do, it's the decent thing to do. I don't really think that those are operative concepts when you're talking about people working in this White House. I think it's the quit in the interest of self-preservation, right? I mean, the ship is going down.
Yep.
It might, let's say it staggers on for a few years. Trumpism is going to be an epithet signifying disgrace for the rest of our lives. And the people who stick around are going to be disgraced.
Yeah.
And the people, there's room for a couple people to get out now, to get the book deals, to tell the world what they know, to get the cable contracts, to be hailed as heroes by the majority of people in this country who hate this president, who hate what's going on, who are terrified by the kind of daily stream of revelations. But the people who stick around, not only is the rest of their career torpedoed, but they're going to be saddled with massive six-figure legal bills that are going to, far outshine their ability to earn that much money.
Yeah, and Evan, to that very point, CNN has a piece up about a Trump campaign aide reaching out to the boss, requesting that Donald Trump set up legal help for associates who are ensnared in the federal probe into contacts with Russia. The world is going after them, and Trump is leaving them abandoned on the battlefield. Trump has no history of helping subordinates. He has a history of abandoning contractors, not paying people. He has no history of the loyalty down the chain of command. Why would any of these people take the risk of potentially getting in the line of legal fire for a boss who clearly is not going to back them up?
Well, first of all, I've said it many times that this administration and the competency level there makes the administration in Veep look very competent. But at the same time, you have to actually look at what's going on. This is a problem set up by Donald Trump. I gave President Obama a lot of flack on his policies, but what President Obama did very well was he told every single faction within his White House, no public squabbles, no leaking to the press. The Bannon faction, the Conway faction, the Priebus faction, the Jared faction, they're all at open war with one another in the press, and that's why you're seeing these lines. As to as what Michelle said about the younger staffers, you're going to be disgraced. No, they're not going to be disgraced. They are going to be able to get jobs in other places, other administrations in the future. They are there to serve. They're not morally bankrupt somehow if you're 21 years old just out of college. I think kids, when they have the opportunity to go and work for the White House and serve their country, no matter who's president, I think that's a good thing.
I don't know that that's necessarily true. I mean, you did have Elian Cohen come out and at first say that he thought that people of goodwill, Jonathan, I'll throw this to you, should go in and attempt to work with this White House, bring some adults into the room. But you've already seen H.R. McMaster dragged down now by being put out to tell tales for the administration that no one believes. You already have seen count them, three people who have been asked, do you want to be director of the FBI? And say, no. And these are partisan Republicans. You've had John Cornyn and Trey Gowdy, this sort of ridiculous idea of taking Merrick Garland out of the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals so that you could free his seat so that Mitch McConnell could refill it, and thinking he would, for any reason, go along with that scheme and take the job. But you are not seeing an enthusiasm to fill the void that this administration has in staff, because what does it do for your resume?
What does it do for your resume or for your ability to sleep at night? Look, one of the problems, probably the main problem that the Trump administration has and will continue to have, is that the man who sits in the Oval Office is not stable. And by that, I mean the president is someone who one day will say one thing and the next day completely undercut himself and say something else. Or in the case of the firing of James Comey as FBI director, you make an action, your staff doesn't know about it, they go out there, tell one version of events. 2 days later, the president goes out there and completely denies, undercuts what the staff said. So if you're someone working in the Trump administration, you cannot trust that the boss will have your back. You cannot trust that the president will be there either as a stable force in terms of running the country, or be there as someone who will stand up and defend you, as you brought up at the beginning of this segment. And you know, Michelle wrote her piece. Rick Wilson has something in the Washington Post today, another Republican strategist who's also giving the same advice that Michelle gave, and that is to people in the Trump administration: get out while you can, get out while you still have your dignity, get out while you're still able to make a living.
And the point, you know, Evan, I guess, is also that you've got, I mean, look at if the team could put up the number of gaps still left to fill. By this point in his administration, Barack Obama had confirmed 130 people. 89 had been sent, staff members had been sent out, cabinet members sent but not confirmed. These are appointments, sorry. Bush had 60 confirmed, 117 sent. Trump has had 35 confirmed, 59 people sent to the Senate but not confirmed. There are a lot of spots left to fill, and it's not clear what the incentive would be to fill it. Donald Trump demands total loyalty. He even asked the FBI director for a pledge of loyalty to him when he gives 0 pledges of loyalty back, or even a backup if you wind up ensnared in his legal drama.
In hindsight, I think Jim Comey should have asked Donald Trump for his loyalty. I think that what you're actually looking at is there are a lot of people at the senior level who don't want to go in and have their careers tarnished. When you're talking about the junior staffers, it's okay for them to go in, but they're not going to be running the Small Business Administration or the FEC or other organizations.
They might do a better job
But
than
I think we
someone.
are missing one thing in the McMaster, why he's going out and defending President Trump despite being undercut by President Trump. What he did Monday night and Tuesday, when he gave those 2 statements, was he was trying to signal, not to Americans, he was trying to signal to our allies to continue intelligence sharing, because what President Trump had was so bad. It was damage control. And he knew he was going to take the hit, and I admire him for going out.
And I'm going to give you the last word on this, Michelle, because this does seem to be an administration that is in desperate need of help, of grown-ups. But if grown-ups don't want to do it, is it worth doing it and then get the book deal in 6 months?
Right, and so what I said, well, okay, so I didn't write this in my piece, but I spoke to a Republican who'd been considered for a job, and one of the people who was recruiting, somebody kind of associated with the transition, said to him, you know, just take the job, and the first time he does something outrageous, you can quit and give a big press conference, which I think shows the amount of cynicism around him. But so, you know, so yeah, certainly, and there's certainly people that you don't want to quit, right? I made pretty clear that the people who are stopping Donald Trump from cavalierly starting a nuclear war with North Korea, they need to stay in place, right? We need McMaster, we need General Mattis, we need the adults. The communication staff, you know, they can all leave tomorrow, and it will hurt neither their country nor themselves.
Yeah, and they'll probably get huge book deals. Michelle Goldberg and Evan Siegfried, thank you very much. Jonathan will be back later in the hour. And coming up in our next hour, Lawrence O'Donnell is here, and our panel talks about the legacy of Roger Ailes. More Ailes.